Russell Federal Building in Atlanta, as Judge Claudette Morrison, a woman who had adjudicated countless cases, officiated at the swearing-in of numerous new citizens, and dedicated 3 decades to interpreting the Constitution, found herself being handcuffed by an officer who deemed her accent a cause for suspicion. What Officer Ryan Dalton failed to realize was that his body camera was meticulously documenting every utterance, every assumption, and every infringement upon her dignity, which would ultimately cost the city of Atlanta nearly $17 million and conclude his professional tenure in disgrace. This is the chronicle of how 70 years of life, 32 years of dedicated citizenship, and 15 years serving on the federal bench held no significance to an officer who, upon hearing an accent, perceived only someone who did not belong. Before we proceed, where are you viewing this from? If this marks your inaugural visit, kindly engage the subscribe button. Narratives of this nature necessitate dissemination, and your support aids us in illuminating further truths. Judge Claudette Morrison had led a life that epitomized the American aspiration, though she herself would readily acknowledge that this dream carried a considerable price. Born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, in 1953, she grew up during the Duvalier dictatorship, witnessing her homeland suffer under oppressive authoritarian rule, all the while harboring dreams of the liberty she had heard described in tales from relatives who had emigrated. Her father, an educator, and her mother, a nurse, instilled in the young Claudette a profound conviction that education represented the sole dependable pathway to an improved existence. She arrived in the United States in 1985 at the age of 32, joining the influx of Haitian immigrants seeking refuge from political persecution and economic ruin. Proficient in French and Haitian Creole, she nevertheless grappled with English, spending her initial years in Miami laboring as a hotel housekeeper while simultaneously attending evening classes to enhance her linguistic capabilities. Her Haitian accent persisted, the melodic inflections of her native French shaping her pronunciation of English words, yet her resolve proved even stronger. By 1990, she had successfully obtained her undergraduate degree from Florida International University. By 1993, she had graduated from the University of Miami School of Law, distinguishing herself as one of only 3 Haitian Americans in her graduating cohort. She successfully passed the Florida bar examination on her initial attempt, commenced her practice of immigration law, and officially became a U.S. citizen in 1991, tears streaming down her face as she recited the oath of citizenship in a Miami courtroom. Her legal career flourished. She dedicated her efforts to non-profit organizations, assisting fellow immigrants in navigating the intricate system that had once presented her with such challenges. She argued cases before appellate courts, earning a reputation for her meticulous preparation, incisive legal acumen, and unyielding dedication to justice. In 2008, she was nominated to the federal bench by President George W. Bush, her confirmation by the Senate being unanimous, thereby establishing her as one of the limited number of Haitian American federal judges in the nation. For 15 years, Judge Morrison had presided over her courtroom in the Northern District of Georgia with an unwavering commitment to dignity, impartiality, and profound respect for the law. She had presided over numerous criminal cases, civil rights disputes, immigration matters, and complex commercial litigation. She had rendered judgments upon drug traffickers and vindicated the wrongly accused. She had officiated at the naturalization ceremonies for hundreds of new citizens, often sharing her personal narrative of arriving in America with nothing more than hope and sheer determination. Now, at 70 years of age, she was a figure of considerable respect within Atlanta's legal community. Her colleagues held her work ethic in high regard. Her law clerks lauded her guidance and mentorship. The legal professionals who appeared before her valued her fairness, even when the rulings were not in their favor. She maintained her chambers within the Russell Federal Building in downtown Atlanta, resided in a comfortable dwelling in Buckhead, drove herself to work each day in her silver Toyota Camry, and maintained a pace that would exhaust individuals half her age. Tuesday, September 19, 2023, had been a standard day filled with hearings and motions. Judge Morrison had presided over a naturalization ceremony that morning, administering the oath to 47 new citizens, hailing from 18 different countries. her voice thick with emotion as she observed them pledge allegiance, the same oath she herself had taken 32 years prior. In the afternoon, she had heard arguments concerning a complex civil rights case, taken the matter under advisement, and finally adjourned proceedings at 4:45 p.m. She gathered her files, bid good-night to her law clerk, and departed the federal building at 5:20 p.m. The September afternoon was pleasantly warm, the sun still casting a bright glow despite the approaching evening. She proceeded at a measured pace across the parking lot, her joints experiencing a slight ache due to her age and the prolonged standing in her courtroom throughout the day. Her judicial robes had been replaced by a simple navy dress and comfortable footwear. She was 50 yards from her vehicle when Officer Ryan Dalton's patrol car pulled alongside her. Dalton, a 10-year veteran of the Atlanta Police Department, was assigned to the downtown precinct, his service record indicating competence, but also noting several citizen complaints. 3 individuals had alleged excessive force. 2 had lodged complaints regarding discriminatory treatment. None of these complaints had resulted in disciplinary action, each being dismissed as either unfounded or unsubstantiated. His body camera was activated. Department policy mandated the recording of all officer-initiated interactions, though Dalton had never envisioned that the footage would be presented in federal court. His partner, Officer Jennifer Coates, a 4-year veteran, occupied the passenger seat, her own body camera capturing the events from a different vantage point. Both cameras would subsequently provide irrefutable proof of what transpired next. "Ma'am, I require your identification immediately," Dalton stated, lowering his window, but refraining from exiting the vehicle at that moment. Judge Morrison halted her stride and turned towards the patrol car, her expression one of bewilderment. "Officer, I am Judge Claudette Morrison. I have just departed the federal courthouse. Is there a problem?" Dalton's body camera clearly recorded his facial expression, the subtle shift in his demeanor upon hearing her accent, the immediate transition from a neutral stance to one of suspicion. "Your accent suggests you are not local. Where were you born?" The question struck Judge Morrison with the force of a physical blow. Decades of similar inquiries flooded back, clerks at shops inquiring where she was truly from, strangers remarking on how well she spoke English for a foreigner. The cumulative effect of 1,000 minor instances of being implicitly told that she did not quite belong, despite decades of dedicated citizenship. However, this was different. This was a police officer questioning her right to traverse a parking lot after leaving her own place of work. "I was born in Haiti," she responded, her voice adopting the authoritative tone she employed on the bench. "But I have been a United States citizen for 32 years. I am a federal judge for the Northern District of Georgia. Now, what is the basis for this inquiry?" Dalton exited his vehicle. Coates followed, both body cameras documenting their approach. "We have received reports of suspicious individuals in this vicinity. I will need you to accompany me for verification." "Verification of what?" Judge Morrison's voice escalated slightly, her judicial composure beginning to falter. "I am a federal judge. I am 70 years old. I am walking to my car after a day of court proceedings. What precisely do you find suspicious? Should police officers be permitted to detain individuals based solely on their accents? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because what transpired subsequently demonstrates how language and outward appearance can be weaponized against Americans who do not conform to narrow preconceptions of who belongs. "Ma'am, I cannot ascertain that you are a judge," Dalton stated, closing the distance between them. "All that I know is that you possess an accent and are situated in an area where we have encountered difficulties. I must verify your identity and your legal right to be present in this country." "My right to be in this country?" Judge Morrison's tone was incredulous. "I am a United States citizen. I am a federal judge. I work in that very building." She gestured towards the Russell Federal Building looming behind them. "You can confirm all of this with a single telephone call." "Ma'am, do not make this unduly difficult," Dalton admonished, his hand moving towards his belt where his handcuffs were secured. "Turn around and place your hands behind your back." "You are arresting me." Judge Morrison's voice faltered. 70 years of dignity, confronted with the sheer absurdity of being handcuffed in a parking lot where she had parked countless times. "On what charge? What transgression have I committed?" Suspicious activity? Possible immigration violation? Failure to provide identification, Dalton recited, although his body camera would later reveal that he had not, in fact, requested to see her identification beyond his initial demand. I informed you of my identity. Judge Morrison's voice ascended to a shout, drawing the attention of other individuals in the parking lot. I am Judge Claudette Morrison. You can verify this. Contact the federal courthouse. Contact anyone. Coates positioned herself beside Judge Morrison, her body camera capturing the visage of the elderly woman. The palpable blend of outrage and disbelief, and something deeper, something that resembled profound sorrow. Ma'am, please cooperate, Coates implored, her voice noticeably softer than her partner's, yet no less insistent. The more you resist, the more complicated this situation becomes. I am not resisting, Judge Morrison asserted, her voice now trembling with emotion. I am explaining that you are making a grave error. I am a federal judge. I have been a citizen for over 30 years. I have presided over hundreds of cases in that courthouse, and you are arresting me because of my accent. Dalton moved behind her, withdrawing his handcuffs. Turn around, hands behind your back. This is your final warning. Judge Morrison stood momentarily frozen, her mind struggling to comprehend the unfolding scenario. She had administered oaths to police officers. She had presided over cases where officers provided testimony. She had consistently held law enforcement in high regard, consistently believed in the very system of justice she had dedicated her life to upholding. And now she was being subjected to the indignity of handcuffs in a parking lot, as if she were a common criminal.
This is unjust, she whispered, her voice barely audible as she slowly turned around. This is profoundly wrong. The handcuffs clicked shut around her wrists, the metal feeling cold against her skin. Both body cameras meticulously recorded the moment with absolute clarity. A woman of 70 years, dressed in professional attire, being detained by 2 officers who had arbitrarily decided her accent rendered her suspicious. Judge Morrison's face, clearly visible on Coates' camera, showed tears beginning to well in her eyes. I was in court all day, she stated, her voice breaking. I naturalized 47 new citizens this morning. I told them that America was a place where everyone belonged, where citizenship carried meaning, where one was judged by their character and contributions, not by their accent or their place of birth. And now I stand here in handcuffs because an officer heard the way I speak. Dalton gently guided her toward the patrol car, his grip on her arm firm. Several individuals in the parking lot had paused their activities to observe, their mobile phones extended, recording the scene. A security guard from the federal building was approaching them, his face etched with confusion. Officers, that's Judge Morrison, the guard called out, breaking into a run. She's a federal judge. She works here. What is happening? We are handling a situation, Dalton responded. Please remain back, sir. But she's a judge, the guard insisted, now close enough for both body cameras to clearly capture his voice. I see her every day. She has been here for 15 years. Her courtroom is on the 3rd floor. Sir, step back or you will be arrested for interference, Dalton warned. Judge Morrison interjected, her voice steadier now, despite the tears. Please contact Chief Judge Patterson. Contact my clerk. Contact anyone in that building. They will verify who I am. Dalton ignored her, opening the rear door of the patrol car. Mind your head, he instructed, placing his hand on her head as he guided her into the back seat. It was the same gesture he performed countless times with actual suspects. Judge Morrison sat in the rear of the patrol car, handcuffed, separated from the front by a metal mesh barrier, enveloped by the pervasive scent of stale air and apprehension that seemed to cling to every police vehicle. Coates' body camera, recording from the front seat, captured her face through the mesh. A 70-year-old woman who had triumphed over poverty, dictatorship, and discrimination, who had forged a distinguished legal career, who had served her adopted nation with honor, now being treated as a common criminal. Officer Coates, Judge Morrison addressed her, her voice regaining a commanding tone she typically reserved for the bench. I am asking you directly. Do you believe this detention is lawful? Do you believe you possess probable cause to arrest me? Coates shifted uncomfortably, her camera recording her hands restlessly toying with her notepad. Ma'am, we are merely following procedure. What procedure? Judge Morrison demanded.
What procedure permits you to arrest someone for possessing an accent, for walking to their car? I have not produced identification because you did not request it properly. You made no attempt to verify my statements. You simply heard the way I speak and concluded that I do not belong. Dalton's camera, recording from the driver's seat, captured him speaking into his radio. This is Unit 47. We have a female in custody, possible immigration violation, refusing identification, requesting transport to detention for verification. I am not refusing identification. Judge Morrison's voice rose from the back seat. I informed you of who I am. My identification is in my purse. My car is 50 yards away. You can confirm everything I have stated with one phone call. The radio crackled. Unit 47, what is your location?